Well, I wasn't planning on making another discussion video this soon, but with some major news coming out last night, I think we need to talk about it. So, for those of you who have not heard yet, AlphaDream, the developer of the Mario and Luigi series, has unfortunately filed for bankruptcy, citing sluggish revenue and high development costs. Their website is down, and all that. So yeah, that's unfortunately, unless someone swoops in and saves them soon, they're most likely gone for good, which is really unfortunate because, of course, the Mario and Luigi series was basically the last. It was basically the only Mario RPG series left after Paper Mario decided to kind of do its own thing, and we'll talk about that in a while because actually, as unfortunate and sad as this whole situation is, it might, I want to emphasize the word might, it's not a guarantee by any means, but it might end up being a net positive for Paper Mario, and it might be just what we need in order to get Paper Mario back on track. But of course, let's go ahead and talk about why exactly did AlphaDream file for bankruptcy. Well, for starters, the first thing, sluggish revenue. I think it's pretty obvious why this is the case. As I'm sure we all know, they released Bowser's Inside Story. They released a 3DS remake of Bowser's Inside Story. It was announced in 2018, and it released at the very beginning of this year in 2019. I think you can see why they would cite sluggish revenue because, of course, who's going to buy? And remember, like, Bowser's Inside Story is considered by many to be the best in the series, and even that didn't sell enough. But you want to know the reason why? It's not because of the game. I can assure you that. No, the problem is it's on the 3DS, and I get it. I get why they decide to do both Superstar Saga and Bowser's Inside Story on the 3DS, because they had tons of assets from their previous games like Dream Team and Paper Jam, and it was a lot easier and quicker, and they could get a remake out, and of course people would love remakes. But being on the 3DS this late in the 3DS's life cycle, after the Switch has become Nintendo's only platform, basically. I mean, they've only released like what, 2, maybe 3 games this year. I mean, yeah, there was the there was the Bowser's Inside Story remake at the very beginning of the year, and then I think Kirby's Extra Epic Yarn, I think is what it was called. A port of Epic Yarn, of course. That was also at the very beginning of this year, and I think that was it. That was it. Those were the last first-party games, and of course the last third-party game was Persona Q2 back in like June. And Nintendo, even though they keep saying that the 3DS isn't dead, the 3DS isn't dead, the 3DS isn't dead, it's still going to continue to be sold. The 3DS is dead because Nintendo is not making any more games for it. The 3DS is done. Yeah, they still sell it, but it won't be on store shelves for probably that much longer, especially as the Switch Lite is so obviously the 3DS's replacement. Like, yes, the Switch is the replacement for both the 3DS and the Wii U, but really speaking, the Switch was the replacement for the Wii U, but the Switch Lite is the replacement for the 3DS. But again, I'm getting off track. I can't talk right now. I'm getting off track here. But yeah, basically, I think releasing those remakes on the 3DS is the problem, and that's why they've cited sluggish revenue. Next is high development costs. Now, this is probably down to one thing. So, even though, of course, we never got any official announcement, we do know that they were working on a Switch game. Because if you went on their website, the website's down now, although, of course, you can go on like the Wayback Machine and look at it there, but the website is officially down now. And if you go on the website, you will see a lot of Switches being used in the development offices, and they had job listings for a Switch game. So it's pretty obvious they were already hard at work on the next Mario and Luigi game for the Switch. But of course, now we're not going to see it. And I think part of that reason, aside from the 3DS remakes not selling well because they were 3DS remakes in 2017 and most importantly 2019, from what I heard, actually, Bowser's Inside Story did not do well at all. Like, I think Superstar Saga did okay because it was 2017. 2017, the 3DS was still alive. There were still major games coming out. But 2019, the system was dead, and the sales reflected that. I heard that it was like the poorest selling Mario game of all time or something like that. Maybe it wasn't that extreme, but it sold really bad, unfortunately. And again, the problem isn't that the game was bad. From what I heard, it was a good remake, but it was on the 3DS in 2019, and that did the company in. And that combined with them, but yeah, the high development costs, that's probably because of the Switch game, because here's the thing. Similar to Game Freak, prior to the Switch, they haven't made any games for a console before. All of their previous games were for handhelds. Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, Nintendo DS, the 3DS, and their most recent game was actually a mobile game they were working on with another Japanese company. And it was only ever released in Japan, of course, but you get my own mobile platforms, right? Mobile platforms, which of course have much lower budgets and costs than console games. So the development costs of Mario and Luigi on Switch, combined with the remakes not selling well because they were on the 3DS, way too late into the system's life cycle. That's probably what did AlphaDream in, unfortunately. And yeah, it's really unfortunate. I mean, I personally haven't played any of the Mario and Luigi games myself, but of course I know they were beloved by millions upon millions of people, and some even consider them to be better than the Thousand Year Door, which of course I would be very hesitant to. But again, I also haven't played any of the games, so I can't really make a fair argument. But regardless, but think about it. If the games are so good that they're being compared to the Thousand Year Door, they're doing something right. And yeah, they were basically the last Mario RPG after Intelligent Systems decided to kind of go their own way with Paper Mario, starting with Sticker Star. And we'll talk about that actually in a second because it ties into this in a way. But actually, no, let's just talk about it right now because it's kind of the only other thing I have to talk about regarding this whole thing, since we kind of already went over the whole thing with AlphaDream and why they went bankrupt. So how does this bankruptcy potentially tie into Paper Mario, or just kind of this whole thing tie into Paper Mario at all? So, as many people have heard or know, the primary reason that many cite for Sticker Star being the way it is Miyamoto intervening and saying, because here's the thing, the original beta from like 2010, maybe even a little before that, I don't know, but like the original version of Sticker Star was very much like the Thousand Year Door. It had the Thousand Year Door combat system and all that. It was, in a way, it might have actually been a sort of, it looked like the Thousand Year Door. And that's what we wanted. We want the Thousand Year Door style. We want partners. We want original areas and worlds and enemies and characters. We want badges. We want all that, right? We want the system from the first two games. And Miyamoto decided to go do away with all that because reasons. I'm sure there's way more to it than that, but yeah, Miyamoto intervention is infamously the reason why Sticker Star turned out the way it did. Color Splash, however, not the case. Color Splash turned out the way it did, not because of Miyamoto, but because Intelligent Systems saw Mario and Luigi as like, oh, that's the Mario RPG series, and we'll continue to do something different. So basically, the reason why Color Splash exists is just because, or mainly because, or at least it's one of the reasons, because Mario and Luigi existed, and it was serving as the true Mario RPG. And it was till the very end. Every single Mario RPG followed the same combat system, the same general structure. Well, that might be a little oversimplifying, because of course, I haven't played any of them, but they haven't changed drastically the same way that Paper Mario did, right? Paper Mario has had two different transitions. Of course, the first two games had, badges, the combat system, like all that, all that stuff, right? The stuff you remember from the first two games. The traditional RPG style, basically, that started with Super Mario RPG. Then, of course, we had Super Paper Mario, which I personally really like and I consider to be, at least to some extent, on par with the first two games. Now, it's not the Thousand Year Door, but I think it's close enough that that's what I would group the early Paper Mario games into, quote, the first three games, because I actually really, really like Super Paper Mario. Even though, of course, it was a very different game from the combat. I mean, it was completely real time. There was no turn-based battles or anything like that, but it had everything else. It had great music, a great story, great original characters, all that other stuff, right? It had everything else, and that's why I group Super alongside the first two games, even if the first two games overall are better. But Sticker Star and Color Splash, of course, in a way, they almost kind of went back to the traditional. Because here's the funny thing: in a way, like, it's kind of funny because Super scrapped the combat system of the first two games, and the two games after Super brought back the combat system, kinda, not really, but it kind of brought it back. And they kind of brought back the same kind of overworld type thing. Kinda, not really. Kinda. But of course, they didn't have, but everything else was not there. They didn't have the story. They didn't have the characters. Although Color Splash was a huge improvement over Sticker Star. The script was really good. Like the writing for like a lot of the characters was really good in Color Splash, and the visuals were outstanding. Everyone agrees the visuals in Color Splash were really, really good. But of course, it was not the game we wanted, and people made that very, very, very clear online. And the sales, too. And that's something that matters, because of course, here's the funny thing, is people, of course, have talked about Pokemon, right? Because, of course, there's all the controversy surrounding Sword and Shield, right? And there's, of course, tons of people that are like, boycott the game. They're not going to change anything if we keep buying it. But regardless of your feelings on that, whether you're hyped for Sword and Shield or you think it's an abomination of Satan, that tactic would most likely work with Paper Mario, because Paper Mario, obviously a lot of people love it, but it's no Pokemon, it's no Zelda, it's no Smash, it's not even Mario Kart. Like, it's not as big as those. It's small enough that if enough people didn't buy the game, it would actually make a difference. And I think that actually has already occurred at least once. Sticker Star sold really well, but Color Splash bombed. From what I heard, even though I can't really find any official statistics, from what I heard, it sold less than 1 million units. That is not good. That is not good. In fact, I heard it was like 600,000 or something like that. But point is, it bombed. And that, combined with the outrageous negative feedback that intelligence systems got, all the dislikes and all that, right? All the dislikes and all the videos, it is that. So the fans were complaining, and the game bombed financially. That right there should send a clear signal to intelligence systems that we don't want this. We want the first two games. We want partners, we want badges, we want an original location, and we want all that stuff. But will they do anything? We don't know. They haven't said anything about Paper Mario since the Color Splash fiasco. And I feel like a part of that is because, well, of course, we're not going to see the game until they're ready to show it, and actually, now is about the time we would start seeing it. I'm willing to bet that there's a very real chance that we will see the next Paper Mario game next year. Maybe at E3, maybe even before then, but I think that the time is right. Think about it. Well, time is right, at least in terms of development time. We can argue whether or not the wounds have been healed from Color Splash, but at the very least, development-wise, they should be, if not done, they should be ready to show the game off. I mean, it's been 3 years since Color Splash was released. Or actually, no. Color Splash came out. It came out around this time. Not last year. Actually, it came out on October 7th, 2016. It's October 2nd at the time of recording. The game is almost 3 years old. I think it's about time that, so, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Sometime in 2020, we'll probably see the next Paper Mario game. But of course, what it's going to be, we don't know. And of course, this whole thing with intelligent systems and AlphaDream and, Mario and Luigi, that's going to be the RPG series going forward. That whole thing, like, this Bankruptcy is not going to affect the next Paper Mario game that's already been in development for years, because they're not just going to change the game because AlphaDream went bankrupt. They're not going to do that. That's just not how game development works. They're too deep in on the project. So if it's Color Splash 2, it's going to still be Color Splash 2. That's not changing. But ultimately, the future of Paper Mario is a whole other can of worms that we can save for another time. But my main point is, now that AlphaDream is gone, now that Mario and Luigi is dead, which again is really unfortunate, but if we want to at least try and see a positive, the positive could be that, hey, now that it's gone, maybe intelligent systems will be pushed to, because now they're the only Mario RPG left. Or at least the only one that would be an RPG, but of course now it's like action adventure or whatever. But they're the only Mario RPG left, right? They're the only Mario RPG left, which means now they have a reason to make the games the way they used to. That on top of course, the fact that the last game bombed and all the fans hated it, but, well, not everyone, but you get my, okay. Even the people that liked it, like me, because I liked Color Splash for what it was, all of us will say right here, right now, we do not want this game. I do not want a Color Splash 2. I want the 1,000 Year Door 2, darn it. But we're just going to have to wait and see. So, I guess that's really all I have to say then. So yeah, AlphaDream is unfortunately gone. It really sucks because, I was actually really looking forward to a Mario and Luigi game, even though I've never played one before, because I saw it as like, hey, the next Paper Mario, maybe it'll be Color Splash 2, maybe it won't. But at the very least, we're going to get Mario and Luigi on the Switch. And that could fill the Mario RPG void, right? We could get that and that'd be awesome. But now we're not going to get that. If we get Color Splash 2, we don't have Mario and Luigi to fall back on. We don't have that anymore. And it really sucks. But, yeah, so AlphaDream is gone. It's really unfortunate, but hopefully this can be seen as a net positive for Paper Mario if Intelligent Systems sees this as like maybe an opportunity to return to its original form or something, but we'll just have to wait and see. Anyways, this is Logan589XP, and I'll see you guys next time.